All right, Buff Nation, what is going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching this. Question of the day for me has been, who is the answer at right tackle? How are we going to protect shedeur? Because in order for us to have a chance of making some serious noise this season, you guys know, man, we got to protect two. Two was taking a lot of hits on Saturday against the Baylor Bears, and finally had a chance to go through the replay of the all 22 film on the offense today, and kind of the conclusion that I came to was kind of surprising. Uh, for the most part, I've kind of talked about right tackle more so in a vacuum of, hey, who's just the best right tackle that we can put out there, right? But I think after watching this game, and it was really helpful kind of directly having these different combinations to kind of compare and contrast to on the line. I think my answer might surprise you guys a little bit, but I'm going to run through some different, just a few plays. I don't want to go through all of it. I just want to pick a few plays that I outlined to just kind of illustrate some different things or themes that I was seeing, and then I'll kind of share what I think. So, um, please be sure to chime in the chat. Please like and subscribe to David Talks Buffs. It always helps out the channel, spreads this with Buff Nation. But let's go ahead and get started. Don't give a damn. Coming in here, appreciate you saying Benson and Houston are both letdowns at right tackle. Well, let's take a look at the film. I'm curious what you guys think. And also, guys, remember, Kahlil Benson had an absolute terrible pass protection grade from PFF in this game. But I guess I'll just tease this a little bit. From what I saw, ironically, I don't really think that grade came from his snaps at tackle. Kind of proving my theory wrong, at least in this game. Kind of interesting, right? But let's go ahead and roll the tape. First, you're going to see here just a pass rush situation here where Phillip Houston gets beat kind of here at the beginning of the game. So watch this. Let's go ahead and run it. And one of the things I like about Phillip Houston, or that I have liked seeing, is that, hey, he might not be the biggest guy, the strongest guy, but he can move a little bit quicker than our other right tackles. But here he just gets off to a really bad jump. And if those are the types of plays we're going to get, we can't have that. The one thing that we want you to do is to get in front of the guy. Even if you're going to get pushed back a little bit, right? But this was a tough way to start the game with the sack right there. I guess number 10 jumped off sides, so I don't think this play actually counted. But nonetheless, it was a real snap, that went on the film for Phillip Houston. Thought that was kind of interesting. But, see what's going on here at the 3-minute mark. Now you got Benson at right guard. You got Phillip Houston at right tackle. And, they kind of handle this stunt pretty well. I think that kind of the thing that popped up here was, again, really well executed stunt here. So kind of have kind of these two edges or defensive players kind of crashing in here to free up a big hole for this edge rusher over here. And it's passed off, I think, well between Phillip Houston and Kahlil Benson at right guard. But then you see, again, just really well executed. That edge rusher just kind of hides behind those other linemen, gets past because we got Hank Zielinskis and Benson both handling that other rusher. He's able to hit shedeur. But good communication here, at least on the first part of the play with Benson and Houston handling this first initial rush, and that's passed off. Kind of the theme that I feel like I noticed going through this film was that a lot of the pressure, in my opinion, the majority of the breakdowns, it actually wasn't really happening on the right side of the line, much to do with the right tackle. I think a lot of it had to do more with Tyler Brown at left guard and Hank Zielinskis at center, which I think is something that can be fixed over time. Let me jump to another play here. $7:30 mark here from Phillip Houston. Check him out here on the right side, dealing with a bull rush. So you see he's kind of brought back instantly. And shedeur does just a really good job of stepping to that side where the pressure's coming from. And as a nice free lane to Travis Hunter. But it's, this is very quick. This is very, very quick. 1, 2, already back there. So you can kind of see. But one thing I do appreciate is that I think both Benson and Houston are better right tackle options than Tyler Brown. And so now it's just kind of figuring out what that best combination is. And this is what's got me thinking, okay, what's the best combination here? Let's go to the 10-18 mark. And I'm just taking you guys through the game a little bit, some different plays that I noticed. So watch Benson, Houston, that right side of the line. So you got 1, 2, 3 linemen down. You got a linebacker kind of showing a blitz there right across from Kahlil Benson. And Benson wasn't beat because he was like slow off the ground there or off the snap there. It was more so because you'll see from this angle, I don't know if this is a miscommunication, if he's expecting Phillip Houston to come to his right side and grab 46 and you leave that edge rusher free. I don't know what kind of protection's being called here, but you see initially kind of gets back, supporting Hank Zielinskis a little bit, which is kind of funny. But then Hank Zielinskis is looking at 46. Gives you shades of UCLA, right? Gives you shades of UCLA. Interesting play right here, but you see 46 is just able to get by Benson easily. And yeah, some sort of miscommunication is kind of what I chalk this one up to. Not knowing your assignment. Sadly, we went back to Bill. None of my guys know their assignments. Oh, Boyle coaching right here. But, Phillip Houston does a good job staying in front of zero at the very least. So that was I would chalk that up as like some sort of communication breakdown. But even here on the next play on 1046, you see we give shedeur really good protection here. And I believe this ends up being incomplete, but dealing with a stunt, and Phillip Houston, did a great job there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This ended up being a nice little pass interference penalty on a throw there to Jimmy Horn, but the line did a great job here. Augustive got involved in the pass protecting. They handled that stunt in the middle really, really well. You see Kahlil Benson knocking guys around. Phillip Houston he just stuck to that rusher like glue. And that was a really great pass block by the entire offensive line. So they got the ability to do it, regardless of who's in the lineup. I think it's more so about consistency, right? Let's see how they handled this blitz pressure here at the 12-12 mark. 3rd and 7. Line again does a really good job. Like, they pass that off well. They're communicating well. First down. Now here's where I feel like shedeur can kind of help out our offensive line a little bit. I thought he had a good pocket here. I would have liked to see him step up here. See the pocket kind of forms, but you see he kind of drifts back instead of kind of moving up over to the side. That would have been kind of interesting. He takes this shot to Will Shepherd. I forget who's in the slot over here. Maybe that's Jimmy Horn. He's coming open. But yeah, kind of ends up drifting into this hit. But I understand he's kind of wanting to throw this at a specific time and might not have had time to fully step up. But delivers an awesome ball off his back foot right there, facing some pressure. Still an incredible throw. Now at the 15-minute mark, let's watch this. Watch Hank. It kind of comes over. We'll see a better angle of it here. I thought Phillip Houston dealt with that guy well. Again, kind of the chaos that's coming in the middle with 9. Kind of running picks for each other. We see Hank kind of get beat. He ends up on the ground right there with number 9 and just takes a huge shot from shedeur. Yeah, that was really difficult. But look at a 16-10, a nice little handoff between Houston and Benson. On a 3rd and 6. Good job. shedeur has all day to throw. Really clean pocket with everybody. And fires a nice throw to Wester. Can't remember if he caught this or not. No, dropped just slightly behind him, but had great protection there by the guys. And this is just a little bit of a side note, but this is what somewhat of a decent running game does. Watch this little RPO that we run here. I wanted to show this here. Just watch the linebackers here, this threat of the run. It just freezes them for just a second to where, hey, Jimmy, I think that's Jimmy in the slot, wide open. That's a throw that I know shedeur knows that he's got to make. One of the few misses of the day. But that's what a half decent running game does, man. Those linebackers just freeze for that extra split second, helps really open up a throwing lane. Let's look at the last snap of the half that I had marked here. I thought good protection from both Houston and Benson here. I think it's Seton that ends up getting beat initially. This is the Omari Miller touchdown. But watch how Seton, he ends up kind of pushing that guy to the side, doesn't let up on the play. shedeur throws a nice little dime there. And then Omarion, Jimmy giving a great block and Omarion doing his thing. And so I didn't really find like the pass protection here in the first half to be bad. He did take some shots, but I would say that watching this, I did feel like there was an improvement over what we saw last year. And that's just kind of what I've been measuring against is how do things look compared to last year. I thought overall the protection was pretty decent. There were a handful of 3rd down situations in which we did give shedeur good protection. So at the beginning of the half, we still see Houston in there. Mayers ends up replacing Benson, which might have had to do a little bit with the run game. I don't know why. But this is kind of the last play from... Well, we'll go through the last 2 plays that Houston had. It was kind of rough at the 21:48 mark. And I'll get to your guys' comments after this, after I'm done with this half. Guess I went through more than just a few plays. Wanting to take you guys through kind of the whole timestamp of the game. So watch Houston here again, 54 at right tackle. Kind of beat there, no doubt about it. And one thing that, again, Houston's not the strongest guy out there, but he's shown the ability dealing with some bull rushes that he at least holds on, right? Here, second instance where, yeah, he's just letting the guy go. Shedeur takes just an absolutely brutal hit and then follows it up with kind of this last play here. We'll just watch the end zone view of this one. And you see 40 just put a nice, little move on him. And kind of, didn't deal very well with that speed. And kind of my whole thought was, Houston, he might not be the biggest, but more agile, more athletic. He can deal with some of those things. Going up against Baylor, a little bit different than CSU, right? So has some trouble even with some of the quicker guys. So then we see Benson kind of come in with Justin Mayers, they're at already at right guard. And I got to be honest, guys, I really loved the protection up front between Benson and Mayers. There was kind of one play that I would say Benson got beat bad at, but overall, like, I got to say, I really loved the protection and communication between those two. I really liked it. So let me go to 23-35. So here, you watch that right side of the line. Nice protection there. They deal with that handoff with that free rusher really well. Now, the left side of the line is a little bit of an issue right there. Jordan Seaton called for a hold. But the right side of the line, I mean, they did their job. Thought they did well. Seaton was the guy kind of left on an island, and he got beat there. One of the few times he's gotten beat this season. Hold. But good stuff from Mayers and Benson. Let's go to 24-45. More good protection. And, this one, like, I don't know if I would account this as a pressure or whatever for the offensive lineman. And even if Benson gets beat, again, if Phillip Houston isn't going to be able to get in front of these guys, just like Benson can't at some points, the one really nice advantage that Benson has is just more of that length with his arms. And so you see here when he's dealing with number 40, again, this isn't how you draw it up, but it's nice to where he can kind of push that guy off his mark a little bit and at least helps disrupt the path towards Shedeur, right? Yeah. And then is able to kind of get back in front of him. Again, once there's a bunch of scrambling right there, like, I'm only willing to blame the offensive line for a certain amount of time, like for those first 3 seconds or so, right? Like, at that point, you got to step up and run and slide, whatever. Let's see at the 30-16 mark. Dealing with a blitz here, like a little delayed blitz, and Benson has trouble kind of dealing with that. I think, again, ideally you want to hand this off, but I mean, with the timing of this blitz, that's kind of impossible to do. Well, maybe it's not a blitz, it's just kind of a wider stunt. But yeah, this is where I think anybody at our right tackle position right now, no matter who's out there, is kind of going to struggle with these types of rushes where it's more wide, if that makes sense. But shedeur, great job stepping up to avoid that. And then, just please slide, man. Just shedeur, please slide. He's reminding me of Jaden Daniels, man, with how much contact he takes. And that just makes me a little nervous. Let's take a look at the 4th and 8. Really good protection on the 4th and 8 from everybody at the 33-53 mark. But there's nobody open. Really good coverage here from Baylor on 4th and 8 at the closer to the end of the game. Let's run this. Mayers and Benson deal well with their rush on the side, and just nobody's available. Nobody's available. You'd like to see shedeur maybe step up and just fire it since it's 4th down somewhere, right? Jimmy was kind of open, available here, but he's not even looking downfield anymore. So it's just tough. I think at that point he was trying to make a play with his legs, and credit to this player right here from Baylor. He made a really great open field tackle. But yeah, I think Jimmy knew he was open downfield, and got a few more plays. 34-52. I had this one as Benson being beat. So let's see what that one looks like. Yeah. And this was kind of very similar to one of the Phillip Houston ones where, 10 just gets off the snap much quicker. I think, man, it's tough. You'll see it on another snap. Maybe we just need to start having, because we know we might struggle with some of those rushes sometimes, of maybe just making sure the running back chips kind of helps out there at the beginning, even if that isn't necessarily the gap that they're supposed to, that they've always practiced. I don't know. It would be nice to have them chip in a little bit more to help out whoever is at tackle. 36-38. Let's take a look at that. I had this marked down as a win for Benson, or 36. Yeah, deals with that stunt really well, but shedeur gets clobbered, gets the pass interference call, and you'll kind of see what leads to the pressure over here is kind of that little delayed action, and Tyler Brown is just a little bit slow coming over, hard for him to get to, and shedeur's just clobbered. Tough as nails, man. Tough as nails. But right side of the line, I thought they did their job. 36-55. This is one. Good job there. I thought that was a fine, that's an okay block there from Benson. This is where you want to see shedeur step up. Again, a lot easier said than done when he takes the hits that he's taken. But this is one to where he did have green grass to kind of step up into right there. Well, I don't know. He's already looking to fire. It's just a game of inches. I think I had one more here. 38-34. There was one other one where I thought But really great protection there from Benson. This is one where they're only rushing 3. And so I really do think most opponents, they're going to look to bring 4 and 5, bring a lot of those stunts, uh, everything like that. And so kind of in my unofficial charting, uh, I feel like I noticed less what I would chop up to as like communication breakdowns on the right side of the line in the second half than I did in the first. And I think, hey, I mean, that kind of makes a little sense. That does make some sense because Benson has practiced for most of his time here at CU at right tackle. Now, I can't remember if Justin Mayers was always next to him at right guard or if that was more Tyler Brown. But going back and watching the replay, I didn't really feel like right tackle was the main issue with this team. There were definitely some instances where I thought that if shedeur just steps up a little bit more, we're not even thinking about our right tackle in some of those situations. But to be fair, I do think where we were struggling the most was kind of on some of those stunts or kind of delayed stunts, attacking our interior, going after Hank Zielinskis, going after Tyler Brown. And there are even some ones in pass protection I felt with Benson at guard that could have been better. So my answer is who should be the right tackle? Who should be the right tackle? I'm going to give you kind of 2 answers, a little nuanced. But I think just going by the play here with like what I felt looked better. Again, this is kind of very subjective. I liked the combination better of Benson and Mayers. Mayers at right tackle or right guard, and Benson at right tackle. If the second kind of combination I liked was still Phillip Houston and Kahlil Benson at right guard. The one that just looked bad and I didn't like it was Justin Mayers and Justin Houston at the right side of the line. But I think the more really I would just like CU to just pick one and roll with him. That being the right tackle and right guard. Let's just pick one lineup, stay there, and let's work on the communication, because I feel like where we're struggling a lot with is how to deal with certain blitzes, how to deal with certain stunts, those kind of delayed blitzes, or what do you call them? Simulated pressures. People use that term a lot. And your communication is really important in that. At least that's what I feel is very important to stopping those. So I think it would serve this offensive line best if we just pick a lineup and go with it. I think that whether we're picking Houston or Benson, there's going to be advantages and disadvantages towards having them at right tackle. But I do think right now, if you're just looking at how Benson played at right tackle, not at the right guard stuff, I think that I think Benson played a better game at right tackle. I really do. Both got beat a couple times, but other than that, I didn't really feel like there was a huge difference. Other than that, Houston kind of gets pushed back on some of those bull rushes, and whether you like the calls or not, Houston was penalized a couple times, if I remember correctly. So again, I didn't go back into much of the stuff at right guard in the first half, but I do think I am starting to wonder if Benson's low grades were more from PFF taking a look at his guard snaps rather than right tackle, because when I was really focusing on what he was doing at right tackle, I didn't really didn't think it was awful. Like I didn't think it was grade like 26 or whatever they gave him like awful. So that's really just what I want. Like, let's stop the shuffling. Let's give these guys a chance to build some real camaraderie, chemistry together. And I think you'll see the offensive line continue to improve with that. Now, I think we do need to be a little patient with Hank Zielinskis. I think he will get stronger. I think people have brought this up, and I think that's a great point. I mean, he's a second-year player. He's going to get stronger. I think next year you're going to see a very nice leap from him. I got to say, man, I was a little disappointed in Tyler Brown's performance against Baylor. Like, I felt that I haven't done any of the stuff on the run game yet, obviously. Maybe I will later this week, but I felt the most of where Tyler Brown really disappointed me was in some of those running plays. I felt like everybody was doing their job, and he's kind of getting beat. And then you saw just dealing with some of those pressures from the interior, whether it's Hank or Tyler Brown, that we were having some issues. So hey, maybe Tyler Johnson eventually will get his shot. I would still love to see, maybe at some point Kahlil, or not Kahlil, Kareem Harden get a shot, right? But that's if we're going with this lineup game after game and we're not seeing any further improvement, right? I think it's important that we don't shuffle too much. I would love for us to just find a combination right now, at least on the right side, that we can just go with, so those guys can develop some chemistry and communication. If we need to address left guard or center later on, let's do it. But right now, I don't really feel like there's that too much difference in terms of like if you're rating these players in like a video game rating, like Benson or Houston. Like I don't think there's much of a difference with their overall play, but you want to get the best right guard, right tackle combination in terms of communication and all that. So maybe that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. But y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. 67 comments. Wow. So yeah, y'all let me know your thoughts. Please shoot me a super chat if you want to ensure that I read your comment. But I'll thank you guys for your time. Got 100 people in here, so smash that like and I'll get to it. Hey Shirley, good to see ya. Well, Mari's saying Shedeur's responsible for most of the sacks, but he also avoided some others. He's got to get rid of the ball. Yes, and I think some of the guys from Folsom Frenzy brought this up, that a lot of hitch routes, a lot of like curl route type of stuff where the routes are just kind of ending. And there's not like, if that route's covered, then it's covered, and the guy's just kind of standing there. We got to figure out a way to just kind of get a little bit more movement from our wide receivers, especially when things break down. I think that's where we can kind of grow a little bit, is kind of getting back out in space if things kind of break down. But I think it's fair that for Pat Shurmur to be calling some more quick timing passes, things that are getting the ball out of his hands very early, or even moving protection. We saw that early in the game. He just took a lot of shots. And again, this is just very subjective. I haven't charted this, but there are a handful that I would put on Shedeur for that. And again, when you see him continuing to look for contact when he's running 20 yards upfield, I think he slid maybe once or twice in the game. Like, that's just how he is. He just welcomes the contact. And it needs to be coached out of him. Just like Jane Daniels was taking a bunch of hits last year when he was running. He was lucky he was able to stay healthy through the whole season, right? I don't know if Hank is not a starting center. I'll need to compare kind of what Van Wells was doing. I wish Van Wells stuck around, because again, I think during his junior year, you would see a nice jump from him. With the way Anthony Hankerson's running out there, I assume they're having a good year. But it's always tough. It's always tough, and again, it would have been nice to still bring in one of those top centers. There just weren't a lot in the portal, to be fair. There weren't a lot in the portal, and I do think that he's a better center. And that's the one that I get a little worried about changing, is just him to Ukiri Walker, because you want to have all that camaraderie, chemistry with the quarterback and center. If the center is going to be the weak spot on the line, not ideal, but you should be able to help them out with help him out with strong guard play. But our guard play has been inconsistent, particularly Tyler Brown. At least in this game, I was pretty disappointed in how he played. Savell Smalls refuses to block. I'll need to go back and pay a little bit more attention, but there were a lot of plays where I did really like how he blocked. So maybe. At Dave, do you know what you're talking about? I get on here and I give you my opinion. Yeah, that's just what I do. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. What is this? You got a recruit from high school. Well, why are you guys fighting about all the recruiting right now? We're just talking about how to fix this offensive line today. But I would just like to see them start with a 5, just a 5, and stick with it for a while. But yeah, didn't we have a big time offensive lineman visit that's committed to USC that I think everybody feels pretty good about? We already got 2 committed in the class. Now, defensive line, that's a little bit different. Hey, Countdown Timer, how's it going? Man, you guys are mad. You guys are mad. Man, you guys are testy today. Is there like a full moon out tonight? Man, some of these comments I can't pull up. Where's the young man that transferred from LSU? Is he ready yet? Man, what is his name? Let me bring up the scholarship chart. 1 second. Dude, I don't even see him on the scholarship chart. Tyler Brown, Kareem Harden, Phillip Houston, Wyatt Hummel, Tyler Johnson, Justin Mayers, Cool Benson, Yakiri Walker, Hank Zolinskas, Peyton Kirkland, Zach Owens, Yaya Atia, Jordan Seaton. Was that guy just a walk-on? Yeah, I don't even know. Anyways, guys, sorry. That O-line is going to get shedeur really hurt, can't keep taking hits, and don't suffer from a major injury. And I do think some of the play calling can assist in helping alleviate some of this. I'm a Pat Shurmur defender, as the Folsom Frenzy podcast said the other day or the other week. But it was very clear. I mean, we had a lot of long developing plays, especially in the second half. I guess that happens, when you're trying to come back from a deficit. But yeah, like there has to be a little bit more of, because shedeur's he's always gonna look for that play. And I mean, Buffs News Weekly, he had a nice little tweet out on a play in the second half in which protection's just kind of there, but it breaks down like past 4 seconds, but shedeur was looking for that Omari Miller play, and you're willing to live with it, just like my friend QB Spotlight says a lot. You're willing to live with some of that stuff that goes on behind the line of scrimmage because of so many of the big plays that shedeur has downfield. Like, fantastic. You could have argued you could have hit a couple more, right? But yeah, like, this is not sustainable. The amount of damage that he's taking, it's just not sustainable to get him through the rest of the season. I think we can have some games every now and then that are like this, but we can't have 8 sacks, 8 sacks, 8 sacks, or else it's going to end up, it's just going to end up like last year. We already watched Explain Something. The reason, man, buddy, why are you in such a bad mood today? I did my explaining. You're quite impatient today, buddy. Rennie saying Benson should be the right tackle. And I think like one of the things that I noticed going through the game too was just when he did get hands on people, again they were locked up. If Houston's not going to be able to get out in front of those speed rushers really any better than Phillip Houston is, like I said, I think Benson at least has that extra arm length to kind of push those guys out of the way a little bit. And again, I felt like the communication between Mayers and Benson at right guard, right tackle, like that kind of chemistry, it just looked a little bit better, looked a little bit smoother. Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering, man, too, honestly. You saw the short arms, and why, like, man, once that happened, him at right tackle, it just should have never been a thing. Like, I don't think they were serving him very well, putting him at right tackle, but I feel like still kind of the short arm thing, it kind of shows up still. More misdirection plays that could very well help. There were some in the running game that I really liked. We saw kind of a new formation put in this past week by Pat Shermer, Coach Prime, some two back sets, whether that's a Gustive back there like Draylon Miller. I think we saw another one with Charlie Offerdahl and Isaiah Gustive, where we're kind of using some different motion with whether that's Draylon or Jimmy across the line. Like, I really like some of the different um, looks that they had kind of pre-snap. And I think they'll continue to build on that. I think we'll see this offense continue to evolve as time goes on. I will say, Savion Washington would have been better than any of these guys, and I wonder how he's doing. Actually, let's just take a look. And I feel like we kind of just forced him out, sadly, because he was part of that trash line and was a Bill O'Boyle guy coming in. Let me see here. See how he's doing at Syracuse. Let's see here. Well, it might not be much better, to be honest. Maybe a little bit better. But pass blocking, 1 sack, 2 hits, 2 hurries, 5 pressures. Dang. He sucked against Ohio, huh? Let's look at the run. That's serviceable. Like, he's been fine. So maybe maybe it's just a wash. Maybe it's just a wash. Again, I thought Savion was pretty decent during his time here at CU. Sucks he got injured. But anyways. Hey, Kevin Riley, hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you, Chessmaster. Yeah, his name is Thomas. Yeah, who is that guy? Cardell Thomas. Thank you. Why don't they have him on the roster? Yeah, he's not even showing up here on the roster, but there's all these announcements of him, actually being there. And I think he has been in the well off videos, and I think I have seen him dress number 65. See, the problem is that ABM Kingley, like, I would be open to this if Tyler Brown had been taking snaps at center. Did he take any at all this offseason? Otherwise, I feel like that's just as dumb, to be honest. It might be dumber than just putting him at right tackle, 3 weeks before the season starts. Yeah. Wouldn't mind seeing some Tyler Johnson, though. Question, but give your honest opinion. Are we better with Shiloh or his replacement? My opinions were better with Shiloh. I think Shiloh gets a lot of unnecessary hate, but he brings it on himself, I think, sometimes with it's nice that we haven't had to deal with any of his dumb penalties while he's been out. I'll tell you that. No. Cash Cleveland still has baby fat on him. We're not doing that. No. Nope. This is not the channel to say walk on or Hall of Fame walk ons need to be playing. No. Yeah, we'll still need to. I mean, I just don't want to mix up that center position yet. I still want to give time to see Hank develop. Again, I think his best football is ahead of him. Sometimes you got to wonder, though. Tyler Brown's as old as he is. Is he going to improve? But I'm not saying we shuffle up the whole offensive line yet. I don't think that that's a good idea. I think that's what I'm trying to say is let's stick with the same lineup for like 3 games. And how it goes. There it is. I was waiting for somebody. So what do you guys think about that? Like, what do you guys think about keeping Mayers and Benson there at the right side and just seeing kind of how that line develops a little bit? If we can have I've still been pretty impressed, man. I got to be honest with Jordan Seaton. Like he is the real deal. Yeah, he's had his ups and downs, but I thought that he was solid in the run blocking. I thought he was, for the most part, he's been great in pass protection so far this year. And it's really just kind of figuring out that left guard, center position. Can we get improved play there? I hope so. I sure hope so. And maybe just like Tyler Brown was, this was his first game at left guard, right? This was his first game at left guard or second game? No, I guess it was his second game. I'm still waiting. I'm still willing to be a little bit patient, but we need to see improvement. Yeah, buddy. That's something I was talking about to some of my friends in Guru's Discord was that the running backs missed a lot of blocks in this game, and that's something that Coach Flea's got to get cleaned up, man. Because you might as well just have them running out in the flat if they're going to be missing their assignments, right? Yeah, and that's kind of the conclusion that I came to as well. James Jackson, left guard and center position is the weakness right now. I think so. And honestly, like I don't really have a huge preference. I think obviously I just gave you my preference, but if they decide to go back with Phillip Houston at right tackle, like I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I don't think it's the glaring weakness on this team right now. I agree with you. There's more we got to worry about up front on that left side of the interior. Kind of hard to bench these guys when you put NIL money into them. I suppose so, but I think every sports, to some degree, yeah. It's like every sports team that's paying people, there's always dead money in a sense. They're always dealing with dead money. Man, you guys are quite pissed off today on a Tuesday in which we're coming off a victory. The problem is special teams. Travis Hunter for a kicker. He probably could kick it through the end zone, though. I am water guy. I'm going to be honest. Now, I think Coach Prime said that Palazzo's kind of that main guy that's taking the kickoffs right now. But to me, it didn't sound like in the press conference that he is. going to be, or like he's for sure that guy yet. So I'm praying to the football gods we can get one of those freshmen out there. And just have him kick it through the end zone. You know, Prime talked about that today. Jimmy never gets in any of these returns. Why are we giving why are we giving their guys returns? And Brady B, I would say that this is this is interesting. Mayer seemed to have a short leash getting benched after Nebraska. I would agree. Tyler Brown got beat a lot versus Baylor, but I don't think Prime will bench him unless Phil Oldhold has something to say about it. I want to give Prime the benefit of the doubt at that. Like, I really don't think that Tyler Brown is just playing because of favoritism. I don't. They must just like what he's doing in practice more. And again, maybe, they'll tell you Charlie Offerdahl would die Christian McCaffrey against our defense in fall camp and in practice, right? So I don't know. I don't know. But the one thing that gives me hope is that I don't think favoritism is going to get in the way of making sure that shedeur is not getting hit. Last year, we didn't really have anybody else to go to, which was a huge issue, right? I mean, again, Jack Bailey starting. Should Kareem Harden have played more? Yes, I think so. But that's not really important right now. I think that he wants to see Tyler make it work because, again, he's the strongest dude in the room. That's what they always say. But what good is strength if you can't get your hands on the guy, right? And I think hopefully you can see him improve his positioning, in these next few games against UCF, right? And who we got after UCF? Kansas State. Some tough opponents. But after that, if we don't see any improvement, it would not shock me to see that left side of the line shifted a little bit. Kay saying bench Kahlil Benson. The standard is higher. Hey, I understand. But again, you're not going from really bad to elite overnight. You're not going from really bad to elite overnight. I think we're much closer to average offensive line play than some people might think. I know, man. It's even more sad we can't get touchbacks in altitude. No doubt about it. Oh, I know. Yeah, you don't got to tell me, Chessmaster. Tyler Johnson graded out well during his time at Houston. So why he's in the doghouse, I don't know. So you has the worst offensive line in the Big 12, Dave. I'm not sure about that. I haven't watched all of the Big 12 teams, and I haven't even looked at their statistics yet. But if you have something that you're measuring by, let me know. Is it sacks? Did Prime insinuate we got all three flips this weekend? Sure sounds like that, right? I think he was saying that on purpose. That was pretty funny, right? He knows what he's saying all the time, man. He knows what he's saying. And Jarius White coming in here talking about the defense. This is a great thing. I hope we see this adjustment this week. We also need to start spying these running quarterbacks. We make these dudes look like prime Michael Vick every week. And I don't think you're exaggerating this at all. You're totally right. I think you're totally right. The amount of running these quarterbacks get is just ridiculous against us. And with KJ Jefferson and this high running attack that the UCF Knights got, it's very important for us to have a spy there on KJ Jefferson. So Robert Livingston, I think he's very competent. I think he's a bright mind. My hope is that we see some different looks defensively, but I do think you'll probably still see us mainly still be playing man coverage with one deep safety, but maybe we're doing some things differently with the linebackers or whatever. Maybe we play some more traditional like 4-3 type of alignment if they're going to be doing a lot of like two tight end sets, or I don't know. We'll have to see. I agree, Dave. Uh, oh yeah, we're talking about the leash with Tyler Brown. Just thought Mayers got benched early after supposedly being one of the leaders of the group and the starter all through camp. Yeah, it, and that still was like one of the most bizarre things to see them go with kind of one lineup after a few weeks of spring ball, continue that through fall camp, and then 3 weeks before the season, everything is jumbled up. It was just weird. It was just weird. And I know, like you guys that have played, you say, well, people do cross train in the summers and, parts of fall camp or whatever, but you're tuning up for the season. Like the time to try guys out at different positions was 5 months ago, right? It was back in the spring. And this could very well be a great opportunity to see Jalen Wester finally. Like, let's see how fast this dude really is, right? I don't think he's taken too many snaps this year, or really any, if at all. I can't remember. But the dude's got speed, just like his brother, and this might be the week for him. I would love to see him put on the quarterback because with the weight that Trevor Woods has put on, I'm not sure he can track down KJ Jefferson, depending on what the play is, but Wester might be able to. Boxing Truth Serums. Hey, appreciate you coming in, man. Good to see you again. Hope you're having a great day. We have a decent offensive line there. Not as bad as you think. Play calling can slow up pass rushers, screens and draws will slow them down. I agree. I agree with that. I think we have enough of what we need on the offensive line to have average offensive line play. I really do think that. I think we've seen it in spurts. I think we've seen it on certain drives. It's just ironing out that consistency, and hopefully they're able to find the right mix of personnel, who's communicating the best, as well as, like you're hitting on this, the play calling. And yeah, like I showed you a couple of passes there that ended up being incomplete, but really like the play design. Really like that. Hey, with having somewhat of a run game with a heartbeat, you're able to keep those linebackers a little bit more frozen for just another split second longer. Opens up some things over the middle of the field. Yeah. Free Brandon Gant. Man, you guys sure want to see all the linebackers for having the right now the third best rated linebacker duo in college football, right? And you guys crack me up. But yeah, man, Bentley, Kahlil Green, these guys have been playing great. They're going to be the stars of the show. If we end up getting that win against UCF, I think it's because we see them play really, really well, shooting those gaps really quickly, stopping the run. C Black, this could be a way to help this out as well. Need more jet sweep action to slow down the outside speed rushers. Shermer doesn't do shedeur many favors. No motion to identify whether man or zone. It's like, here, win it for us every play. And while I do think we saw more motion this week, we saw more motion than we saw against CSU. And I still think we saw considerably more motion with CSU than we did against Nebraska. I mean, that's where it was bad. It was pretty much non existent in those first 2 weeks. But I feel similar to you, C Black. I would like to see more as well. Like, for instance, on the read option touchdown that shedeur had in the game last week, that hole was wide open for him because of that jet motion coming across. I couldn't remember if it was Jimmy or Draylon. It would be nice to see a little bit more of that open up. And hey, if Shador's like wanting to take 15, 20 hits a game, maybe you just do run a little bit more zone read, right? Dave, I'm starting to see what you were talking about with Pat Shurmur. He's not a good play caller. Well, I don't know, because I'll defend Pat Shurmur because I don't think he's a bad offensive coordinator. Like, I think that he reaches a level of competency. But again, if you're expecting Kyle Shanahan, if you're expecting Andy Reid, he's just not that. Like, I think he's going to call a fine offense, which I think, again, fine. Yeah, like that's what I've been expecting. But he's not somebody that's going to come in here and set the world on fire with all this creativity. Now, I think he has been more creative in the past in certain places in which he's been, and I think again it's not changing overnight. But I have overall liked the direction of the offense more the last two games, obviously, since Nebraska. So it's great to see that they are learning and they are building on things. We didn't see as much pistol as like I would have hoped, but it was nice to see instituting a little bit more of the two-back sets. It was nice to see Savell Smalls be utilized a little bit more. And again, guys, like maybe I'll go back and watch it again, but I thought Savell Smalls, especially in the run game, maybe in the pass game, that's something where he can be better at. But when I was going through watching the run plays, I thought that he was pretty helpful in the run game, especially on those like backside blocks. Like I thought he did a really good job at that. So again, in this world of YouTube commentary, though, you're either trash or elite. So yeah, like where things become really difficult is, Pat Shurmur somewhere in between that. Need zone schemes or be better at disguising. And I think overall, like if you look at the PFF grades, we've been more effective blocking in zone concepts than we have in man or gap. Teams with running QBs are killing these man schemes. Yeah. And I just honestly think that it just might just have to be something that we deal with. Because again, you don't want to change too much with the defense because it has, again, I would credit them with 21 points given up. That is exceeding my expectation. The difference is special teams. Like, good Lord, I'd credit them with 10 points last week. The problem, and I'm going to get myself in trouble here with this comment, Jarius, but let me read your comment. I think we also spam bubble screens a little too much as well, as seen by the Nebraska game. Any DB with at least 3/4 of the brain, slightly decent IQ, and some common sense can jump the bubble screen. Yes. I think we did, or at least in the last couple of games, we've thrown like some nice halfback screens. I think I'd like to see more of that. But also, I don't think we should call much of those to the way outside. Maybe you call some of those bubbles if, to like a slot receiver that's kind of lined up more inside, whatever. But I don't really think shedeur throws the screen game very well. And I think either, which is why I feel like those plays never really go well. They never really go well because very rarely do I feel like it's, perfectly placed to where the receiver isn't stopping their momentum or, they're not having to do something else before they're getting upfield. Like very rarely is he hitting those guys, I feel like, in stride on the bubble screen. And then I feel like the times in which he does, there's something else going up front to where a guy's getting a clean look at him. But I think he's good at throwing the quick game. I think he can like hit those slants obviously really well. And then we know his deep ball, his deep throwing is fantastic. But yeah, it's like maybe we incorporate some of those, some more just like underneath stuff, right? I don't know. Because it seems like we got a lot of things going outside, we got a lot of things going deep. It would be nice to see us more often running some stuff over the middle. Well, don't give a damn. This is funny that you bring this up. CU would be better off with Arizona State head coach as OC. Kenny Dillingham. Shermer is a damn dinosaur. Well, I believe Kenny Dillingham was one of the guys initially that Prime was targeting when he was first hired here as OC. Ended up going with Sean Lewis, obviously. But yeah, Kenny Dillingham, that's one of the first targets I think Prime was going after, if I remember correctly, because he was over at Oregon. And then you remember, of course, Arizona State comes and hires him. So it almost happened. But rightfully so. Kenny Dillingham, going back to his alma mater, that's not a job you can pass up for an OC job, right? And this is pretty interesting, Poly Pride. Anybody remembers JSU offensive coordinator Brett Bartolone with that killer run and shoot? Well, and the Brett Bartolone, this has always kind of been interesting to me because obviously you saw JSU's offense very, very successful, right? Putting up video game numbers, ran really well. I almost wondered if he was just going to be promoted, being brought onto the staff like originally, right? Or not promoted. If he was just going to be elevated to CU's OC coming from JSU, and for some reason that didn't happen. And then I thought, well, if you're going to move on from Sean Lewis, maybe he's the option. And I kind of look at it as like he's been passed over twice for some reason. Don't really know why that is, but I did find that interesting because I do really value a lot of continuity, right? Chemistry, keeping guys together. So we could have theoretically, if we had done this, be in Shedeur's third year with Brett Bartolone as OC. A lot different than learning a new system every year, right? Yeah, I didn't watch enough JSU to really have much of an opinion or assessment on maybe why he wasn't chosen. But I have always kind of been a little puzzled by that. A lot of plays versus Baylor wide receivers are running hitches. Yes. Hard to improvise routes and flood with Shedeur when he has to evade the pocket from a dead stop. Yes. Absolutely right. Um, and that's why he was just waiting for those things downfield to develop. So hopefully that's something that we can fix because yeah, you don't want to see this, the definition of insanity, right, guys? It's just doing the same thing over and over again, hoping that it just changes, like what we're doing with special teams right now. Sorry, I had to take that one. But you're right. I really did love early on how we moved the pocket a little bit for Shedeur, and we just kind of went away from that. Like it was part of the script, clearly. Why didn't we go back to that? I still feel like this offensive line is just, it really does benefit from that. But maybe it's because we don't want to just get in these, half field read concepts a lot of the time. Maybe that's what why it's that. I didn't watch JSU. That's racist. Yeah, I guess I watched the Celebration Bowl, and then I watched the SWAC championship, and then I watched the game before that. So that was a lot of fun to watch. But I was also watching with some of those games. I was also watching other college football games. To be fair. But yeah, definitely watch the Celebration Bowl. That was an awesome game, even though they didn't win it. And actually, didn't Shedeur miss a Hail Mary at the end of that game to force overtime? Travis Hunter dropped the ball right at the goal line, and then they came back. Wow. So Shedeur's done this before. Crazy. And then they came back on the last play at the end of the Celebration Bowl, and Travis Hunter caught the Hail Mary for the touchdown to force overtime. Wow. I totally forgot about that. Did you guys watch the Celebration Bowl? And then the one white guy on JSU, he dropped the 2-point conversion at the end or something like that. I forget what happened. That was a bummer. Oh yeah, I know. I'm just chilling. Dave, we are 16 games in and still having the same conversations we were having after the fourth game. In respect to what? This topic of like right tackle, offensive line? I guess so. Yes. I do think, though, this might get me in some trouble, but I do think part of the reason this is a reoccurring theme, though, some of this has to do with play calling. Some of this has to do with Shedeur himself. Think Shiloh will travel? I hope not. But here's the thing: don't give a damn. Like I don't. I thought this was a much better Kahlil Benson performance than we saw against Nebraska. Thought this was much better than what we saw against Nebraska. So I'll give him that. Granted, it's not Nebraska, but guys, like, I know I'll make fun of these dudes and whatnot, but overall, like, I want these guys to be successful. I want to see CU win a lot of games, but we got to get rid of the ball, man. Sometimes it's like he is holding on to the ball for 3-4 seconds, drifting back into pressure, and the offensive line's getting blamed for that. I just think, hey, right now, I think it's safe to just blame 30% on the play calling, 33% on the play calling, a third on Shedeur, a third on the offensive line. That's what I'm going to do. No. You know who does suck at right tackle? Tyler Brown. That dude sucked at right tackle. Now, he never should have been put in that situation, but I don't think Kahlil Benson's trash. I don't think Phillip Houston's trash either. I think they're fine. But yeah, everybody seems to be having these types of plays at some point in the game. That black dude. Love the name. And that's why it would just be nice to just pick a group and stick with it for a little bit and see how they perform. But I know Coach Prime was talking about maybe they just want to continue to rotate 3 in all the time, have 8 guys. I just don't know if I've ever seen that really be super successful. I know that's not done in the NFL, but maybe you guys can point to other college programs that consistently rotate offensive linemen. I'm just not familiar with any. Yeah, Jerry Swiat. I definitely agree. Shedeur needs to start throwing the ball out if he knows he's about to go down. And again, I just think he's extra aggressive. I think you can see that on his rollouts. You can see with how long he wants to stand in the pocket to hit those downfield throws. You can see since he's rarely sliding, that's like how it goes. And yeah, like he's just a uber aggressive quarterback. But I think we can kind of help rein him in a little bit with some play calling that doesn't always encourage that, right? So, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Really appreciate you guys, as always, chiming in here. It's always a lot of fun. You guys do comments, man. You guys are cracking me up. But yeah, at the end of the day, let's have Benson at right tackle. Let's have Justin Mayers at right guard, and let's just see how this thing goes. Hopefully, we see some improvement from Hank Zielinskis and Tyler Brown moving forward. But yeah, let's continue to get this thing looking better. So thank you guys so much. I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, Go Buffs.